Sure.
Yep.
Hey, welcome to the Snap. This is the Super Bowl party for Super Bowl 55. We've got an epic matchup tonight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kansas City Chiefs. Two GOATs going at it, Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes. I'm also in the company of two GOATs. I got producer Scott and Lando ready to break down our Super Bowl party, our digital Super Bowl party this year. Typically, this would be an in-person affair, but COVID-19, thank you so much for the digital age. Fellas, what's going on?
Mac, I am doing excellent. I am pumped up for the Super Bowl. It's nice to finish off the NFL season with a bang. We got Griffin in the chat. We got Easy as always. Thanks for coming by, guys. We'll be talking about obviously some Super Bowl preview, maybe some bets, maybe not. And we'll talk about some of our favorite Dynasty guys. So if you're watching this even after the Super Bowl, we'll give you a little preview on how we kind of look into prospects and some of our favorite kind of sleeper, maybe just our favorite picks of the year. Scotty, what's going on, brother?
Oh, well, today is Fire the Cannons Day. You may be saying, isn't Scott a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan? I'm confused. Yes, you are correct. 99.9% of the time, Skol all the way. But there are two teams I've cheered for in my entire life. One was the Derek Brooks-led defense, still one of the best defenses of all time in Tampa Bay, and the other one is the Vikings. So people have different opinions on this, but I'm of the mindset you got to have somebody to cheer for in the playoffs, and I sure wasn't going for Max Packers last week. So Bucs all the way. Tom Brady's bringing it back and making me some money in the process. Go Bucs, go.
I'm glad you brought up the Packers, though. Aaron Rodgers, league MVP. What it do?
He's the GOAT this year.
It's not all time. It'd have to be a different acronym, though. Greatest of this time? GOTT? The GOT?
Great. He is annually the GOAT. This annual circle of the sun, he is the GOAT.
I like it.
Greatest of some time.
There you go. He's a ghost. Ghost.
He's a ghost.
He's a ghost.
Okay, fellas. Well, we're going to kick things off here with a little Super Bowl prediction. Maybe we'll start off with who you think's going to win. When it all comes down to it at the end of the day, and we already know who Scott's going to pick. It's all good. I'm gonna put my stamp on Kansas City. Like Patrick Mahomes, I think this offense is just too good. And the age-old saying is defense wins championships. I think that's a thing of the past, man. The new age, the modern NFL game is score, score, score. And the Kansas City Chiefs are very, very good at that. So I don't think the Bucs can keep up. They definitely have the better defense, but Kansas City offense is just so good. It's gonna take something special for the Bucs to get this win. But Brady and the refs, man, as I learned in the NFC Championship game, it's a real thing. It's Tom Brady's got him in his pocket.
It's tough to make money betting against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I know he's been into lots, but he's now won 6. This is for 7. We would see history literally in the making. He has more rings than people have appearances. I wouldn't be completely upset if Tom Brady won his 7th, but I am picking the Chiefs. I don't care about their offensive line being banged up or how good the Bucs defensive line is. I'm going to go with probably the new GOAT, the new GOAT of our generation. That's going to be Pat Mahomes, taking it to the old one.
The homie.
My favorite flex of media day was Tom Brady sitting there being like, yeah, normally, the other 9 times I did this, it was really different. There was just reporters all around, like the last 9 times have been very, very different than this time. And that's the thing, it's because I'm nostalgic. They're wearing the good jerseys again. That defense reminds me of the Bucs D that was able to pull it off back in 2002. And when you say, defenses win Super Bowls, but I don't think this time it's going to happen, I do think it's going to happen. And I think it will be the defense. Kind of what I said last week. I should have said that the refs will also be on defense. But it's not going to be that Tampa's offense is way better or better than a Pat Mahomes-led offense with a healthy Travis Kelce, Hill. Like it's not going to be. But I do think that Tampa's defense is much better than Kansas City's. So it's not. I don't foresee a blowout either way. But I could see, much like what I thought would happen last week, I could see somebody like Levante David stepping up in a moment where people think Mahomes is going to win it and they're going to repeat. I could see many of Tampa's defensive players actually stepping up and making a pick or forcing a fumble when everybody expects somebody like Mahomes to get it done. So I'm relying heavy on Tampa's defense for them to win by maybe a field goal. Like we're talking really close here. But defense, how they won it back in 2002. Brad Johnson on the field just whipping 500 yards and rushing for an extra 100. Him and the elbow pads, they would just hit Keyshawn 5 yards in, hand it off to Mike Alstott, and let the defense do the rest.
Man, I remember Mike Alstott. That is a name, a throwback name.
Back when
I
fullbacks
thought it was
were
03,
fullbacks.
Scotty.
It was 03, but it was the 02 season. It's like
Gotcha.
debate. Like, yes, they won it in 2003. But the
Right.
season, that's sometimes I always have issues with like what you're supposed to call it, because they always win it in the new year. But the season that everyone, it's like Madden. What are you gonna, what year do you reference?
The season,
But it was
the regular season ended in 2020, but we got the Super Bowl in 2021. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Exactly.
I'm with you on
Scotty,
that.
two questions.
Yeah.
Number one, do you have better gambling habits than Warren Sapp?
I do, because you know what? I would have to imagine if I was to take a lady of the night, I would make sure my bank account would not get me sued by the same one. So there's a reason that I had a Warren Sapp jersey back in my youth. I no longer own a Warren Sapp jersey because you got to find somebody who can handle their finances.
Okay, second question. Is your password Super Bowl Champs 03 or Super Bowl Champs 02? I don't remember.
Or Super Bowl Champs 20.
Are you asking me what my passwords are live on the air? Because we're gonna go with a hard pass on that one.
Change them. Change them now.
Griffin says he has deep hatred for TB12, but he has more of a likelihood to make the Super Bowl than Steph has to make any given three-pointer. He's been pretty much a lock for the past decade. He's always in the conversation. Doesn't matter what team too. He's proven that. I think that's probably one of the biggest accolades for him is switching teams and just going right back to it. The Brady might be the system. He might have made Billy B look really good over the last 20 years.
I mean, I kind of feel like no matter what you feel about him, I hated New England. I still hate New England because Boston. Still do. But you gotta respect a guy for. I mean, yes, there's weapons in Tampa, but the Buccaneers have managed to screw things up for the better part of 20 years. And for him to be like, I'm going to leave the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick and go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to win a Super Bowl. Bold statement. When I heard it, I was like, this will be fun, but they always manage to mess things up there. He could actually do it for that fan base. So it's a good story either way.
Yeah, man, 100%. I want to switch it over to some news. Now, we've been trying to see how the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes is going to play out, and Houston's management has come out and said, look, we're not trading Deshaun. The whole goal here in the offseason is to secure him, to get him back, wanting to be a part of this team. He hasn't met with the new coach yet, but management, the head office, they want Deshaun Watson back. On the flip side, we have news this week that Carson Wentz is going to be traded. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to move away from Carson Wentz, and who knows what that trade value looks like. But given what went down with Stafford and Goff, you got to think that Carson Wentz probably warrants a pretty lofty trade package. What do you guys think? What is the best landing spot for a guy like Carson Wentz?
I wouldn't mind him in Chicago. The rumors are going around that Chicago is looking to trade for him, but he, like Scotty mentioned in our group chat, that he does have a hefty salary going along with that. Now, the LA Rams had to give up extra first-round picks to get that salary off their books. Now, I do not believe the Philadelphia Eagles need to pay up to get Carson off their books. I think he still has a ton of value in the trade market, and there's a lot of teams knocking. It's just how high can they go? What first round pick can they get, or how many first round picks can they get? I mean, people have room to pay quarterback. There's plenty of teams in this league that have room to pay Carson Wentz. It's just going to be who's going to be the right fit. I would be totally fine with him in Chicago, and then I believe Allen Robinson could stick around. Or is his contract?
He is a free agent.
Still going, or is he? So I think it'd have to. A stipulation might be that Robinson would have to stick around in Chi-Town.
Yeah, it's I find all these situations are just a reminder of how important the quarterback position is in the NFL, because when you saw the embarrassment of riches all of a sudden that Philly had with the fact that they were able to draft such a X factor style player, and then you had Wentz, and it's that old, but look at his contract. Like, who is, for a guy that you decided you had to bench, and rightfully so. I was thinking, like, man, who is going to take on that contract? And then to see that there is this many bidders, obviously, I think they're going to have to compensate them, much like what happened with Goff with picks. But personally, I think Goff's a more talented quarterback. I know I might be biased, but Wentz, really, I watched every game of his, and I don't know if it's just the system or whatnot. He'll get another chance, and I think Chicago would be a fine landing spot because, it's not hard to do better than Trubisky, but it's just the sheer volume of his contract. It always, I always think it's going to be so much more detrimental to the team that signs it, and then you see them flip it and give up like an extra pick. You're like, well, all right, there you go. You're free of that. That's amazing. So yeah, it just shows though, if you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to compete, and that's what those type of deals mean. I
kind of think that that Carson Wentz finds himself to Indy. Look, there's tons of rumors going around right now that Andrew Luck is making a comeback. There's been some leaked text messages from a friend very close to Andrew Luck's wife that says, he's meeting with the Colts. He wants to go back. He misses football so much. I think those texts have been made out to be fabricated. I don't know if they're completely legit, but you've seen on probably if you play on Sleeper, you've seen Andrew Luck being added like crazy in your Dynasty leagues, and speculative toss him in there. I don't think he comes back though. I really think that Wentz is a good fit for this team. I think he's a quarterback that needs to be protected, and Philly has not done by him well. Like the last couple of years, they've drafted high skill position players, but haven't given Carson Wentz the protection that he needs. And Indy serves as one of the best lines in football, and Jonathan Taylor, what a prospect. So I think Wentz to Indy would be an awesome play, given that Phillip Rivers has retired. I do think that that's probably the best landing spot for him.
Scotty, I don't think I agree with you that Goff is a better quarterback than Wentz. Goff is the definition of a system quarterback. Mm-hmm. He was propped up by how good that offense was, and Sean McVay and Todd Gurley and all the weapons there in LA, or formerly St. Louis. I think Carson Wentz has made the most of what he's been given in Philadelphia with Doug Peterson, kind of a ragtag group of wide receivers for pretty much the entire season. Goddard really wasn't there all season. Ertz isn't the same guy he was. They didn't have Alshon Jeffrey. They had just random wide receivers catching the ball for Carson Wentz. It's been a long time since Goff ever those kind of trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. I've never been impressed with Goff. He's made the throws he's had to, but I think it's been propped up by screen passes to a wide open Todd Gurley when he makes his hay and having career seasons kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the thing. Both players, I think, have had amazing seasons. I'm not going to try to pretend that the Rams offense surrounding him wasn't far superior. Goff
And Sean McVay is a phenomenal offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and Jared Goff was one of the hottest fantasy quarterbacks back when, 2-3 years ago, when you'd watch what was the big game, Kansas City take on the Rams, and those were the two highest powered offenses in the whole league facing off on Monday night. That's to me the Goff that part of me still remembers. And then Wentz back then was maybe just below him as far as output. So you make a good point, and it'll be really interesting to actually see these guys flip locations, because we'll have to see what Goff can do in a system like Detroit, which, not nearly as much talent, but they do love to pass in Detroit a lot of the time. But now you have DeAndre Swift, who they could try to make the franchise cornerstone. And I'd love to see him go to Indy. You got Taylor, and they have some great young passing options. If T.Y. Hilton can't keep being a deep value play into 2021. But it's going to be a lot of fun. You don't usually see this many big-name quarterbacks switching locations in one off season. So it's going to be fun to watch preseason football.
It feels like the NBA almost, where you've got just big blockbuster trades, guys switching teams. Like if you look at the free agent market this offseason, just the wide receiver position alone is wild. There's so many so many free agents that are just free to move about. Allen Robinson being one of them, who, he's expressed his disinterest in Chicago. So we'll see, man. It's gonna be crazy. Looking at the chat here, Sanam says, hot take, Rashod Bateman will be the second best rookie wide receiver. Sinam, I don't know if you've got access to our personal files or you hacked our system, but right after this video ends tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to be redirecting the stream into our rookie profile video on Rashod Bateman. And between the three of us, he is our consensus second best wide receiver off the board in your rookie drafts this year. So this is a podcast that's very, very high on Rashod Bateman. You're not going to get this from a lot of people, but we have him ahead of guys like Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. Jamar Chase is the only wide receiver we have ahead of Rashod Bateman, so we're very, very high on him. But we're going to let you guys wait for the Rashod Bateman talk. But I do want to talk about some Dynasty rookies. First of all, what are you guys doing in your Dynasty leagues right now? Are you kind of playing it cool? Are you trying to make moves headed into the draft? What is your game plan? And then give me, secondly, a Dynasty piece right now that you are rising on, that you feel the warm and fuzzies, that give you the tingles. Give me a guy. Give me a guy that you like, that you've been doing your homework on, maybe a little deeper too.
Well, all right. I'll start this off here. It might be a bit
That's
long-winded, so you guys can go and have a nap, grab some snacks, and
what are you doing for Dynasty first?
Get ready to go.
What are you doing for Dynasty?
So I'm selling running backs right now that are starting to age. I'm selling running backs like Kenyon Drake. I'm selling running backs like, if people remember, Wayne Gallman, if you can sell anything for him, Chase Edmonds, Jeff Wilson, any of these guys that James Conner, if I had him, I would sell James Conner. This is the time to get anything for them. If you're approaching players that were really stuck at running back in 2020, and you're like, listen, I'll give you multiple running backs. I'll give you the full Arizona Cardinals backfield if you like. And that's what you want to sell right now. Guys without guaranteed workloads in 2021. Now, it could come back to bite me if the Cardinals do not draft a running back and they stick with Drake and Edmonds. Both of those guys are going to be very viable week to week. But this is the time to get out from under those guys before the NFL draft, before really anyone's Cardinals, for example. And while still the memory of Jeff Wilson really comes in there, and because he was behind Raheem Mostert for most of the season when he was healthy, but he came out and had some pretty good games near the end of the season. Those are the guys I am selling. I'm selling aging running backs, ages 26 and over. I'm getting those guys off my team and trying to get younger or requiring draft capital. That's number one what I'm doing.
Sorry to interrupt, Landon, but you are an Alvin Kamara owner on a very loaded Dynasty team. Like, your team is year after year a contender. You've won 2 of the last 3 years. You probably should have won this last year. what are you doing with a guy like Alvin Kamara? Because I've been in your ear to sell him, and I doubt that there's going to be a higher sell point in his career. You know, you look at what he's produced for you the last 4 seasons as a pass catcher, as a runner. Like, his volume was out of control this year. He surpassed his 81 receiving total. It was 81, 81, 81, and then I think he was just slightly higher, 83 on like 107 targets. But what are you doing with Alvin Kamara? Are you holding and hoping that he continues this ridiculous fantasy ride, or are you selling at potentially the best time?
I would absolutely sell Alvin Kamara, but you have to find the right trade partner for Kamara.
Baba, what up?
I would want in return, it needs to be a top 3 pick in this year's draft. I would want potentially a first-round pick next year, and then a piece to add to my roster. So if a place that, or maybe a wide receiver that's inconsistent, a very inconsistent wide receiver, but I'm always looking for you. So I'm not going like an old Adam Thielen in return, or even a Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know if I would. He's very inconsistent as well. But I need a piece that I could at least flex on my roster that is under the age of 25 in return for a guy like Kamara. I don't know if you can get. The thing is, buying the young stud running backs that just came into the league. We're talking DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, Jonathan Taylor. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the most gettable rookie of them all right now. But those guys are hard to acquire, and I don't know if I'm willing to pay a price of Alvin Kamara to get these guys, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, in terms of rookie that you're interested in, like, you know, we're doing so much homework, so much research for all of these rookie profile videos. Mm-hmm. Who's somebody maybe a little bit deeper that we're going to get at maybe the back of our first round, maybe even someone at like a position that's going to be slept on? Who's somebody that you like in these upcoming rookie drafts?
Well, someone that's slept on,
or maybe not, but maybe not like a name that's known as much. Like, we've got our Jamar Chases, we've got our Trevor Lawrences, Devontae Smiths and Najee Harrises. Who's somebody that maybe is lesser known, but you think is worth paying up for?
Well, this is going to be a running back, because I was talking about old running backs. I would want to replace those old running backs with a young one, and that's going to be Javonte Williams, North Carolina running back. He's a junior, so he's only 20 years old, which is really what I like to see out of my running backs coming out. He is a physical, hard-nosed running back, but he's big and elusive. He's the kind of guy that Scotty loves. Scotty would love Javonte Williams, but he probably catches better than Scott would like. Scott likes the brick hands, the guys that don't catch the ball at all. He catches a little bit better than those guys that Scotty likes. But he feels to me like the perfect Steelers running back. He was a 3-star prospect out of high school, but we've had guys come out and like Antonio Gibson, right, for example, that really came out of the dust, came out of nowhere and produced in the NFL. I think this is exactly what Javonte Williams is going to be. He had to share the backfield with Michael Carter, who is also an excellent prospect coming in. But I prefer Javonte. He's fast enough to get into the league. He's got quickness and agility for a guy this size. I believe he's 5'11", 220. Yeah. If my memory serves me right, I can vet that real quick. But he's a guy that can do it all. He looks like he's ready for the league right now. When I watch him, he reminds me of Chris Carson.
Oh, okay.
That guy that's willing that puts it all in every single play. Now, you might with that Chris Carson, maybe he gets injured a little. He got injured this year. So his lifetime in the NFL for Javonte Williams might not be that long. But as fantasy owners, we don't really care that much. If he gets through his rookie contract, his first 4 years, doesn't matter. That's all we want from him. Yeah, I was right. 5'10", 220 is what he weighs, 20 years old.
Essentially what you want to do in Dynasty
really
with a running back is, like, once that rookie contract gets close to to expiring and they're going to sign for that second deal, that's kind of the point you want to sell. You want to take a running back for 3-ish years of production and sell right at the peak, because in Dynasty football that a player of that caliber will warrant high draft capital in return, and you kind of want to keep that ball rolling. You don't want to hold on to Todd Gurley for as long as it takes, and then within a season he's rendered useless for Dynasty. No one's paying what they would have paid in 2016 for Todd Gurley, which was for some people 3 firsts. I always tell that story. Scotty, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah.
Who's a guy that you like? Now, look, there's no 30-year-old tight ends in this draft class that I know of. No 7-time.
Are you trying to tell me that Delaney Walker Jr. is not in this draft? Because I will shut down this stream right now.
I hate to tell you, but
you may have found him.
He's not available.
If there's one player I'm targeting, it's because tight end is it's my favorite position in fantasy football. And if you've ever played me at Madden, I'll destroy you because I use a 3 tight end system. That being said, when I was thinking about who am I going to talk about, it's not going to be Pitts. It's not going to be like the top tight end that if you are in Dynasty and you need a tight end, yeah, that's who you should draft. I love to have a few sleepers going into the Dynasty draft. And as it occurs to me that my 2 co-hosts are also in my fantasy draft, I now regret this decision. However, Hunter Long out of Boston College.
There we go.
He's a junior who put up really respectable numbers, 5 touchdowns, I believe around 600 yards. But the main thing is I think he is incredibly NFL ready. And that's the big thing to me. His coach feels that he's one of the best blockers that he's seen in the league. But on top of that, it's not like the blocking is a side aspect that has no fantasy implications, but they think he's an elite catcher. The blocking to me for a late round pick in Dynasty means he will be on that NFL field so much sooner than a lot of other prospects. Because if you can't block in the NFL, even if you can catch, you're a huge liability to your team. So he reminds me of more of kind of like a young Greg Olsen, a bigger Greg Olsen. He's 6'5". This dude is huge, but he seems to be an all well-rounded player, and he's not going to go anywhere, I believe, beyond maybe like top, I'd say 6th, 7th, 8th round, probably in Dynasty. Take a look at him. Don't spend too much draft capital, but he's one of those guys I'm looking to put on my bench. And if he can hit, I really do think he's going to have a great NFL career. And the draft capital is going to be next to nothing to pick up Hunter Logan out of Boston College.
Wow.
Hunter Long.
Oh, Long. Sorry. Logan. No, other player.
Scott went deep. And that's Scott's brand. That's right on brand for you, Scotty. I didn't expect anything different. So I'm glad you were you.
If you can't get Travis Kelce, take a look.
Checking in here on the chat, we've got some food stuff. Looks like wings are a popular item. Taco dip as well. I respect that. Bob's wife makes a pretty solid taco dip. Shout out to Sid. Griffin said that he's designing.
How would you know, Mac? How do you know that she makes it? Do you guys have private dip parties? I don't know.
These people are my friends, Landon. Griffin's trying to decide between Wingstop, Chili's, or making spaghetti at home. You need to take spaghetti at home off the table, Griff. Wingstop is good. I'm going to go with Chili's, though. I'm kind of feeling some Chili's. Yee. You guys ever had Chili's?
You can feel like you're at a American airport restaurant at home, and that's the beauty of Chili's. There'll be one, whether you're at the Buffalo airport or you're at JFK. There is a Chili's waiting for you with a very, very tired, upset server.
I agree. And Logan Heaven said he ordered Papa John's, but very disappointed that Peyton didn't show up to give him his order. It's not the quality service you would expect at a Papa John's.
Demand a refund. Why else would you order Papa John's if it wasn't going to be delivered by Peyton Manning?
Get that garbage out of here.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dynasty, what I'm doing right now, I mean, look, I'm a super active Dynasty player. I'm always looking to make deals. I'm always looking to make trades. I just made a trade last night. I traded away Denzel Mims and McCole Hardman and Julian Edelman and a 2022 third or a 2021 third. I can't remember. For Tua Tagovailoa, who I don't really need because I have Justin Herbert, but nice to have a nice, young quarterback piece. A 2023 first, second, and a 2020 second, third. So I'm getting a little bit more capital. I've got 5 firsts this year in a rebuild. Denzel Mims, I mean, I love the prospect. I want to take a gamble on him long term, but I've got Godwin and Chark and who else do I have? Jalen Reg or Cortland Sutton. I've got a lot of good pieces, and he's not really going to find his way into my starting lineup, given that I'm probably going to draft either Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase or Rashod Bateman. So I'm fine passing on him. I'd take the 2023 first, but that's a deal that I'm looking to make. And then a guy that I really like in the Dynasty space, who I'm probably going to target later in drafts, is Kadarius Toney, senior wide receiver out of Florida. Now, I like him. He's probably going to be more of a slot wide receiver, a gadget player, like maybe a punt returner, maybe someone who gets like a jet sweep like a Robert Woods or a Tyreek Hill. But he comps. People have been saying, Kadarius Toney is the next Tyreek Hill. He's super shifty. He's, super versatile. Like downfield speed, I don't know if he quite has what Tyreek Hill has, but in short space, like out of slot positions, I really think that his explosiveness is going to be very Tyreek Hill-esque, and the NFL loves speed. So Kadarius Toney, who was a high school quarterback prospect, got taken on by Florida as a wide receiver. They converted him. This is a guy that can basically do it all. And watch his film. He's very physical. He's very explosive after the catch. And he's probably going to go, as a second-round receiver. I can't see him going in the first round. I've seen people mocking him there. But I think he'll be a second-day guy. I think he'll be maybe a mid to late second rounder, and depending where he falls, could be very, very solid playing the slot. I really don't see him as a perimeter wide receiver, but I do see him being very successful in the slot. Have you guys watched any Kadarius Toney film?
The hype train on Twitter about Kadarius Toney is very, very, very real. If you're on fantasy, someone's talking about Toney. And for good reason. He's a good athlete. He played at Florida, so he would have played with Kyle Pitts. I haven't watched enough film on him to really get a grasp on it.
Right.
He doesn't profile as one of those all-time prospects. He's 22, so he's a little bit older. He didn't break out until he was almost 22. Hasn't really been able to command targets until this year.
Right.
So he's a senior that took advantage this year. And
sounds like Devontae Smith.
But I mean, except he only had 10 targets or 13 targets last year and 35 targets the year before. So I have to look into him. Now, he only played 7 games last year. That's probably why he didn't come out last year and have and declare for the draft. But don't get me wrong, he had a great season this year. His catch rate is 83.3%, so he has really good hands, 10 touchdowns. But you're right, Mac. He's a special teams player. And
he's not just a special teams player. He's a gadget player. He can be used in a multitude of ways. I think you're going to see him out of the backfield. You're going to see him play a lot of slot, but you're also going to see him return kicks and, maybe be a part of some throwing plays. Like, he's very versatile. That's why I kind of like him. One thing I did want to note, he did accept a spot in the Senior Bowl and went and in some drills dropped some passes and actually dropped a couple, lined up in the backfield like I've been talking about. He dropped a pitch, which you talk about a guy with an 83% catch rate. Solid hands. I don't know what happened at the Senior Bowl, but he just botched some of his drills. So that's maybe a little bit concerning, but not typically what we've seen out of Kadarius Toney. So we'll see, man. I like him though. He doesn't have the resume that these other wide receivers do, and he's gonna go well behind guys like Rondale Moore and Amon St. Brown and Terrace Marshall and those guys. But I could see Kadarius Toney with the right team being drafted up just because of his explosiveness and his speed. So deeper wide receiver, I'm going to keep.
Yeah, I know. Brandon Ayuk was a first-round pick because Kyle Shanahan fell in love with him. But he kind of gives me those kind of vibes. Like maybe Ayuk shouldn't have. Like he was great. Does that make sense to you,
totally.
Mac?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that for sure.
Get the kid the ball, the ball in his hands, and he'll be special once he gets the ball.
And like part of the thing is, I just want you to know who he is. I want you to have Kadarius Toney on your radar, not not to say that you need to go out and draft him, but you need to be aware of him. So go watch some tape on those three guys. Hunter Long, Kadarius Toney, and Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams could be a top 5 dynasty pick, assuming not super flex. Where if you don't play super flex, you're not going to see Lawrence and Fields and those guys go until like the end of your first round probably. But Javonte Williams could creep up. He's probably like running back 3 or 4 on a lot of people's boards.
He is, and we're trying to really subscribe to the draft talent first. Yes. So even if Javonte Williams gets drafted by the Steelers, the best landing spot for just about any team, I'm probably still going to have him ranked behind Etienne and Harris, even if those guys don't land in as good of spots. Right. That's what you have to try to stay the course with those guys, even though those two are seniors. But I still believe that those 2 players in particular are who you want in your team. I just don't think Javonte Williams is that far behind them anymore. So that's kind of what we're getting at. Griff's in the chat talking about Jamar Chase. Yes. And I was talking to Mac. We've talked lots of Dynasty the past few days, but Jamar Chase feels to me like what CeeDee Lamb did last year, where he's like, get this guy on my team. I don't care what it is. Get Jamar Chase on my team. He's one of the best prospects we've seen, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. I'm really infatuated with Jamar Chase right now.
And what I think too is a lot of people and people I respect in the fantasy football community, I've seen Jamar Chase now sitting behind Devontae Smith in their rankings, and I don't agree. Yeah, I think in 2019, if you had Devontae Smith ahead of Jamar Chase, by all means, keep him there. But I'd like to find somebody as of the end of 2019 who had Devontae Smith ahead of Jamar Chase, the Blitnikoff Award winner, a guy that had an 1,800-yard season with basically what was his target share, like 19.6. It was under 20. Justin Jefferson had a great season
on that LSU team. Yeah, that was a wild.
I mean, he was over 20 yards per completion. Just a ridiculously efficient and explosive season. Chase was awesome, and you can't tell me that if Jamar Chase came back and played this year, because he wasn't draft eligible, but if he came back and played this year, you can't tell me that he wouldn't have been 1,700 to 2,000 yard receiver with a ridiculous target share. He would have been miles ahead of Keyshawn Boutte and Terrace Marshall, the other 2 LSU wide receivers. Like Boutte had a 308-yard receiving game this year. Jamar Chase would have been beating people up and would have just padded stats like Devontae Smith did, man. As great as Devontae Smith's season is, I don't hold everything that he gave you this year at face value. I do take a bunch of it with a grain of salt, because you're coming back and you're beating up as a senior on a lot of younger players, more inexperienced players. And the fact that Jalen Waddle went down really just gave him a crazy target share. It was almost 35%. Jamar Chase did what he did on only 19.6%. So I think Jamar Chase is a far better talent and a guy that will translate at the next level. His skill set is crazy. Devontae Smith will have his own challenges, but yeah, man, I agree with you. I'm trying to leave as many drafts as possible with Jamar Chase. I think he's super special.
If y'all are liking this Dynasty chat, make sure to check out all of our videos every single week. We're doing prospects galore, deep diving into their film, giving you best comparable players. We're doing everything. And after this video right now, we will be giving you our Rashod Bateman player profile. So stick around. while you're getting all those snacks ready for the Super Bowl, stick around, have it playing in the background, and check out our Rashod Bateman video. We will be still in the chat talking to you, so this chat will continue, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have, why we're so high on him, what we like most about him, any extra questions. We'll do it all. So make sure to stay tuned to this video in about 12 minutes.
I'm going to kick this over to Scotty. First, we're going to open up some listener questions. If you guys have anything for us, if you play Dynasty, if you just want to hear some takes on some players, put your comments in the chat and we'll get to those. Scotty, what's on the agenda tonight for the menu? What are you and Luce cooking up?
Well, actually, I prepped for my lone Super Bowl night myself, so I made sure, I ordered the PC frozen extra spicy breaded chicken wings. We got the celery stalks, the ranch dip. I'm going to go full sports bar at home here. But you've never met her brother. Her brother, Max, is possibly the most talented non-professional chef. Like, he just casually loves to cook. So we went over to her place last night, or to her mom's place. He came in and he made just the best fall off the bone ribs and from scratch, like oven baked chicken wings, which were then double sauced. And he just brought it out in this massive vat, like bowl of chicken wings beside the ribs. And I mean, I'm really psyched for my PC, basics, breaded chicken wings. But to try to compete with last night, it's really tough now because he's just 5 stars. So tonight I'm going Scott's best, the basics. And I have like an 8-pack of tall cans of 6 to 9%. So if anyone from my work is on the live stream, tomorrow's kickoff Monday meetings will be very quiet and very slow.
Lando, what do you got going on at the Monular Res?
Well, yeah, I'm back at home with my parents, so we are doing homemade wings. My favorite all-time snack is a taco dip, like one of those 3 to 4 layer taco dips. We've had this discussion at length, Scott. It's not a heated taco dip, Scott. It's a cold taco dip.
That's an OG reference right there. Going back.
And
snack draft, baby.
Snack draft. We'll probably be getting back in those snack drafts this offseason a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, I'm jacked up. I have a question for the two of you before, because we got to talk a little bit of Super Bowl before it's 10 minutes till our show. If it's not going to be the quarterbacks for the MVP, right, and I believe it
can't not be, as far as I'm concerned.
The NFL is starting a dynasty, whether it's Patrick Mahomes or they're continuing a dynasty with Tom Brady. They're going to award the MVP to them almost regardless. But if it wasn't, what narrative, like who is it going to be? Give me one for the Chiefs and one for the Bucs if it wasn't going to be the quarterback. I guess I could start. So I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill as the MVP for the Chiefs, if that's the case.
I'll go next. I'm going to say Levante David. I'm channeling, like I said, I think defense is going to win it. And if it's not going to be Tom Brady winning it, then remember, the last time Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, it was not an offensive player who was MVP. It was, Dexter Jackson, the cornerback who did a pick 6 with like 3 minutes left in the fourth to wrap that game up. And he went to Disneyland. So I could see a defensive player, if the Bucs can pull this out and stop passing that offense, guess what? It could be a defensive MVP if the Bucs can pull this out.
Yeah, I think it could be. That's a good pick as well, Scotty. If it's not going to be Pat Mahomes for the Chiefs, who would it be then? Do you think? Do you think it could be? What I'm blanking on his name, the safety for the Chiefs.
Yes. And I mean, I agree. I guess the difference to me is that it's one of those things where I could see Kansas City completely winning because of their offense. I see Tampa Bay only winning through their defense.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as likely that Kansas City's going to win and it's their defense that gets the MVP. I totally could see Tampa pulling a defensive MVP because to win, they don't have as good of an offense, in my opinion, even with all those big names. Yeah. So the defense is going to have to show up and be better than Kansas City's defense, which to me means it's a lot more probable that somebody like Levante David, I don't think Sue, but like one of those guys is going to have to make a play that is so good, it wins the Super Bowl, and people think, yeah, give it to that dude. Like,
just give it.
I mean, offense to offense, you're not betting against the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid. No way. No.
If the MVP can't be Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, for the Chiefs, I'm going to go with the best player they've had all year, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a problem, and Travis Kelce could have 150 to 170 yards receiving if he continues to play at the level he's been playing. So Travis Kelce would be my pick, non-Pat Mahomes for the Chiefs. And going to the other side of the ball, man, that's tough. Like there's not a running back on this team that I think is worthy of taking over a game. You know, as good as Leonard Fournette's been, as much as Arians has been using him. Not that tough to say if any one receiver jumps out. I think if I have to go, I can't see anybody on the defensive side doing anything. I mean, Sean Murphy Bunting has gone what? All 3 playoff games so far with an interception. He makes a strong case, but I'm going to stick offensively. It's never defensively. So I'll go Chris Godwin, who could have a really big possession receiving day working out of the slot. So yeah, I'll go Godwin and I'll go Kelce, non Pat Mahomes or Brady.
That's an interesting one. The reason why I went Tyreek is because it could be special teams related.
Sure.
So he could be thrown in as a punt return or get even potentially like a sweep around, and really they would have no choice. Like if somehow Pat Mahomes doesn't throw a touchdown and it's all like a sweep to Tyreek or a punt return, a kickoff return to Tyreek, that would be the only scenario that I would see.
Does it?
Even if Tom Brady throws a touchdown to Chris Godwin, it's even if he throws 3 touchdowns to Chris Godwin, I think it's still going to be Tom Brady.
Does it pain you slightly that Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown are going to win a ring tonight? And did you see? Is this the way you saw it going down?
It's going to be a wild time, man. I think Lev could have, or I think Leonard Fournette could have a pretty good game.
That's kind of the thing that a lot of people forget, that Fournette has gone from the Jags to in a Super Bowl lining up behind Tom Brady, because Ronald Jones has had all the big plays for the Bucs, but Fournette has found the end zone the most for the Bucs. So I could see them leaning on Fournette's experience as the older veteran, and what a career change to be the often used fantasy darling out of Jacksonville to lining up behind Tom Brady to try to win a Super Bowl. Life's okay for Leonard Fournette right now.
Doing all right.
Is Antoine Winfield active for this game?
Ooh, that's a good question. One of you should vet that. I might want to throw out in the last couple of minutes here some prop bets. Are you going over or under the 2-minute mark for the national anthem?
Absolutely over.
Yeah, that over, Barstool, for anybody listening, that Barstool Sports video of that guy outside the stadium recording. What was it? 2 minutes and 16 seconds. The
always
anthem.
Take the over on that one.
Hammer the over on that one. The Gatorade color. So Landon and I talked about this on the podcast. Right now, it's like plus 110 for orange. That's the leader. And then red is second at like plus 300. Red in the last 20 years has not even been the color once. But my wife goes, maybe red is the second because both teams have predominantly red jerseys.
That's right.
She's a thinker, that one.
And I didn't think about that when we were recording the podcast, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of an interesting connection. Yellow is third, and then like it goes down the list to purple is the last. So what would be your Gatorade choice, color choice?
I'll stick with orange. I'll tell you why. On their sideline, they've got, I would say, 6 flavors to choose from while they're drinking.
And
They've got
orange?
lemon lime. They've got blue. They've got red. And
There was
those
a
guys
good water boy on the budget line right there for all those options.
They're drinking all those flavors. No one's drinking orange Gatorade. So the guys grabbing the orange Gatorade, they're going to grab the fullest jug, which is obviously going to be orange, to dump on the coach. And that's why it's going to be orange.
Interesting.
I'm going with the Smurfs. I'm going hard blue. It's my go-to Super Bowl color.
I'm gonna go with
Papa Smurf.
I'm gonna go with yellow. What I initially said on the pod with Landon. I think orange is so heavy, not because it's one of the worst flavors, but because it's the like quintessential color for Gatorade. It's their brand color. So I think maybe that's why orange is the front runner. But Landon's got a good interesting take there. Griffin said hammer the over on the 0.5 wardrobe change for the weekend. I didn't think it was 0.5. I thought it was 2.5. But if you can...
that is in our specific Griffin, I hope you got in. You've got some hot takes,
Man.
but yes, 2.5 was Landon's odds.
That's my own over on.
If it's 0.5, I agree. Over. I would take the over. Guy pumped in $7 million of his own money, Griff said, which I think you brought up on the podcast, Landon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, it came into an interview that he is not going to have a guest on the halftime show. I put the over-under at 1.5.
I took the under.
In our little game.
I took the over. I feel like he's messing with you.
I think
he's a performer. He's got friends.
That's why I thought, yeah. So we'll see.
Well, listen, guys, thanks so much for coming by and hanging out with us. We're going to end the stream here in the next 20 seconds as the premiere for our Rashod Bateman rookie profile video comes out at 6 o'clock. So as soon as we click end stream, the autoplay for this video is going to take you to that video. So if you want to check that out, like Landon said, in the time that you are just preparing some food and getting ready for the Super Bowl, you want to watch some Rashod Bateman and listen to a podcast that is very, very high on him, feel free to roll over to that video. So we're going to say goodbye, and we'll probably see you in our next live stream at the NFL Draft. But thanks so much for hanging out with us, and enjoy the Super Bowl, make some great food, and watch that Rashod Bateman chatter. So, fellas, thanks so much for coming by, and Landon and Scotty, love you guys, and we'll see you in the stream.
Go Chiefs.
Enjoy the Super Bowl. Go Bucs.
Fair enough.